Tonight, Alabama State Representative Gary Palmer is joining us to talk more about this movement for change in America. Good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
People of all races are coming together to protest and demand change when it comes to police brutality and systemic racism. What is your reaction to George Floyd's death and the protests that are have continued since then?
Well, I was horrified by what I saw and the actions of the police officer, and like everybody else, just heartbroken at the loss of that man's life and what else has gone on around the country. I am concerned about the fact that particularly African American men seem to be targeted. I pointed out my chief of staff is an African American man, and I've literally told him that I worry about him. But obviously, the end result of this is that we've all got to do some serious reflection and try to figure out a way to come together. Because at the end of the day, we all share the same community, the same, as I say it, the same piece of dirt, and we've got to figure out a way to live together.
What is your stance on policing and how police departments or police officers are when they're out in the line of duty in situations like that?
Well, I think policing is one of the toughest jobs that anybody could take on. I understand that. And because it is, I think that they need to be among the best trained people that we have in our government, and particularly in handling situations like what occurred. I don't think it was a failure of training in this individual's part. I think that he intended to kill Mr. Floyd. And I think the training that should have come into play there with the two rookie cops and the other guy who should have been trained to intervene when they see a fellow officer out of control. And I think that's got to be a major focus. I think this idea of defunding the police departments is frankly extremely dangerous for the whole community. For instance, today in Chicago, there were 18 murders. It was the highest in a 24-hour period in 60 years for that city. So we can't not have police. What we have to have is transparency, because there are bad cops and there are bad police departments. We've got to have accountability, and we've got to have the ability to terminate police officers who are not qualified or not competent or are corrupt. We've seen situations where there have been a number of police officers that were terminated that went into arbitration, and the departments were forced to rehire them. We've got to change all that so that we get the bad apples out of the barrel, so to speak.
Representative Palmer, thanks so much for your time. We have so many more questions for you, but unfortunately we're out of time. We hope that we can speak with you about this again soon. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Alabama